breath of twilight caresses the air. The river mist hangs sweet and fair. The evening swallows, they whisper their tune, dancing on the moon. Why have the stars called us here?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Songwriters Alive with Tom Cooney. We air Monday nights at 7 o'clock on Tom Cooney YouTube, and we do some additional distribution out to Rocking the Valley YouTube. It's an hour-long show with just one songwriter, where we learn about the songwriter, their wonderful songs, their background, and what they think about the craft. It's an exciting hour, and I'll contribute a couple of songs, too, that hopefully don't get in the way too much. Our guest tonight is Bernie Drury. Hi, Bernie.
Hi there, Tom. Nice to be here.
It is great to see you. I've seen you on some virtual open mics. I love your stuff and love your style. Very creative, original songwriting.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful for having found the songwriting community around me. It's a very supportive group. So yeah, it's been a big part of my life last 6-7 years.
That's wonderful. You'll find tonight that Bernie has a real clarity of style in terms of his songwriting voice, as well as his actual voice. And he's a good, versatile guitar player who will play in lots of different styles, as you'll see. And the purpose of his songs, each and every song, comes through very clearly. I think, Bernie, that's my first comment is the clarity of what you do is really amazing.
Well,
always been a conscious thing for you?
I think I appreciate that very much, by the way, because but I think that I can point to people that I've latched onto that are better than I, have been doing it longer, to see how they craft a song and to make it, to simplify it, not to try and make it into more than what it is. Sometimes a simple song can be really powerful if it has a very simple, clear message. And whether it's a serious song or a lighthearted, it really doesn't matter. It's, the people are indulging you by listening and by being attentive. Don't make them work too hard. Just bring them along. Let them in on the story right away.
That's a great perspective, and I really like that. It reminds me of a lot of comments I hear about each song being balance. If it's something simple, honor that. Mm-hmm. Something where you really want to get a hard message out, don't be afraid to go there either.
Absolutely, yeah.
Our special guest tonight is Bernie Drury from Bud Lake, New Jersey, and it's really good to have you here. And what did you want to share to open up your stuff?
This song is part of one of my favorite musical experiences, and my mentor, my primary mentor is Ellis Paul. And I came to him through his songwriting retreat without ever really knowing his music. It just was one of those fated decisions I made. And so I was going up to Boston about 3 years ago, and I asked him, I take Skype lessons with him, and I said, can you give me a couple of open mics to go play up there? And he said, well, okay, the Cantab Lounge is legendary, and that's where Ellis was actually discovered 30-odd years ago, maybe even 35 years ago. Unfortunately, they closed during 2020. But so I went there, and I played my 2 songs. I was there with some friends from Boston, and we got there a little late, so our slots were around 10 o'clock hour. And got up, I played my 2 songs, sat down with my friends, and about 10 minutes go by, and I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, and there's this really big guy there, and he kind of has his hand out to shake my hand. So I start to stand up to shake his hand, and he says, "Can I just give you a hug?" And I said, "Sure, guy, bring it in." And so I hugged him, and he said, "Something just happened, and that really helped." And then he went. He left about 5 minutes later. I'll never see him again in the rest of my life. And it was because of this song. So, and I wrote this. I lost my wife back in 2014, and we were married 36 years. And we're all good. Everything's all good now. Me and the boys are doing great. But sometimes you get a song that really captures what you're trying to say, and for that I'm very grateful. So this is called "For You." I remember laughing for no reason, just felt so good to be alive. Happy ever after was as certain as the seasons for a love meant to last for all of time. Simple pleasures are the best. You would always say, and I was measured by a test. Hoped I'd never have to take. I've been dealt a hand I have to play. I'll do the best I can with every breath I take. Wish I was a stronger man, feel about to break. I'll push through for you. The past is weighing on my shoulders like snow on an evergreen. No denying that I'm older, fading king without his queen. The night somehow seemed colder, lost my taste for almost everything. There's an angel, I sure wish I could hold her. She'd help me understand what is happening. But I've been dealt a hand I have to play. I'll do the best I can with every breath I take. Wish I was a stronger man, feel about to break. I'll push through for you. If I ruled the universe and time was mine to bend, my life song I'd find the verse that sings it when we met. Find my way back then for you. They say life is what happens while you're making other plans. But no one's waiting with a map when you're searching for the way to start your life again. I'll keep my end of the bargain. All those late night promises we made. You'd say, babe, keep the faith. The sun will always shine again. But I've been dealt a hand I have to play. I'll do the best I can with every breath I take. I wish I was a stronger man, feel about to break. But I'll push through. Yes, I'll push through. Well, I'll push through for you.
Very beautiful song and very, very touching and extremely honest. First, I'm sorry to hear of the passing of your wife after so long.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely time absolutely is a great balm, and I'm really blessed. I'm blessed in life. I've got a lot to be thankful for and a lot to live for.
Yeah, yeah. It's still it must have been challenging to write that song.
Yeah, there's a couple songs that I've written about that. I mean, you don't want to be the guy that writes only songs like that, but you have to play them 50 times or more, like in your living room, until they become just a song.
Yeah.
But that absolutely is where I'm a huge fan of open mics, and that's where open mics are great, because you can go up and it can be unfinished, or it can be something that you're not quite ready to play out. It's okay. It helps you build up the calluses, emotional calluses.
Yeah, and maybe some calluses on the inside of your cheek as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's tough delivering. I wrote a song about healthcare workers at the very beginning of the pandemic, and I did it on open mics, as you said, a great place to do that stuff.
Right.
And it was upsetting to me every time I played it, even though I had done the living room work.
Right.
And it was literally biting your inner cheek to just stay composed.
I think there's a lot of people talk about their muse. I think that it's pretty miraculous how things come to us, and it's a gift, because when our senses are alive like that, we're present, and so you can't ask more of life than to be present.
Very much, and as every songwriter will tell you, learning, as you say, learning to be in the present all the time is great. But when something comes, when a song or an idea comes, that you have to be in the presence of it and stop what you're doing. I mean, I made this mistake when I retired about 4 years ago and started getting back into songwriting. I made the common mistake of, I'm going to remember this. I don't need to. And I might have remembered the words or the melodic motif, but the emotion that was at the tip of that iceberg that I could have chiseled into.
Yep.
It was gone. Yeah.
Yep. And as a matter of fact, I played an open mic last night, and they just asked me about writing during 2020, and I said, well, usually if you use life for your inspiration, well, life was condensed down into like a tiny little gift box, and so we weren't getting that same stimulation that we would normally get And so I just went back into all of my. I use yellow legal pads and pencils. I'm really old school.
Frustrated lawyer.
And I just started digging out all of my old notes and snippets, and the other best thing to do is to listen to other songwriters.
Yes.
You know, when you hear someone that just turns a phrase, or all of a sudden they're playing a common progression, but they find a melody line that's just is different, then all of a sudden, you know, it's like waking up your senses there.
Yeah, that was a really neat comment you meant about this pandemic being the size of our lives physically shrunk. And
Yeah.
artists, and I've talked to many artists about this over the last year, it was a benefit in disguise, because we are constantly struggling to find the quiet time to work and craft at our best during that time.
Yes.
Suddenly, there was a lot of it, and so many artists I know seized that opportunity and just have had a really good year in terms of, you know, honing their craft and producing more work.
And I am so inspired by songwriters, regardless of their age, because they work so hard, and to a person are just enormously generous and helpful to each other. It really is. It's a community unlike most.
Yeah, very much, very much. And you may have heard this before, is the quality of your songs. And again, as I said, they're targeted and integrated, and they're just so perfectly balanced. Tonally, you remind me of Phil Oakes. The tone of your voice and the style, the way you flow the lyric. It's really beautiful.
Well, thank you. I had to go back and listen to some of his catalog because other people have said that, and it's really high praise, and especially when I go back, because now I remember his songs. But back then, I was probably a rocker back then, and not as in tune with the people, the storytellers, and the songwriters.
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
You're welcome. So for your second tune, what were you thinking of sharing with folks?
So this song has absolutely no story behind it. It just started out because of a goofy rhyme that I liked with Hoochie Coochie. And if there's a song that people remember me for, it's probably this one, simply because it's not like a lot of songs. So if it does strike someone's ear, they'll remember it. That's it. Come my way. If I'm honest, very few would make the grade. When all the huggy wuggy, the smoochy hoochie coochie is done. Physical attraction only goes so far, like money in your pocket or a fancy car. At the end of the day, we'll find somebody to love. Well, if you think you're ready for something more, you're gonna have to change the way you're keeping score. What you can touch, you can hold, and count for very much when you're getting old. So throw away your black book and stop your running around. Let me share a thing or two that I have learned. I think the time has come for you to take your turn. Bound to take her home to mama, watching movies in pajamas kind of girl. Now if you think you're ready for something more, you're gonna have to change the way you're keeping score. So that's my story, short and sweet. Try it once for me, I guarantee you'll be saying okie dokie. I know who I wanna hokey pokey with. You'll thank me later, that's crystal clear. See you later, alligator, my work's done here. Go and get some huggy wuggy, so smoochy hoochie coochie with you. Take her home to mama, watching movies in pajamas, saying okie dokie, I found who I wanna hokey pokey with.
That's wonderful. Sounds like a fun song to play.
It is a fun song to play.
You had mentioned earlier some friends and a different group, especially that you belong to. It is the Skyland Songwriters Guild, and
yes,
you'll see that screen right now.
Some great friends there, and Carolyn Messina, who's at the top, we just lost her. Just a wonderful, wonderful songwriter and even a better person. But yeah, Skyland Songwriters Guild is based here in Morris County, New Jersey. It's the brainchild of Clark and Renee Paddock, and it's a nonprofit that it grows every year. We now have members pretty much all over the Northeast and some I know in New Mexico and other places. So it's really it's a community that has far-reaching arms, and I found out too, as I got more involved in songwriting, that every community doesn't have a Skyland Songwriters Guild. It's pretty unique is not accurate, but it's rare. And also, I co-host a songwriting circle with George Marinich once a month. And we're just starting it up again tomorrow night. We hadn't been doing it all during COVID, but people wanted to get it going again, so we're going to start that up.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I co-host the Godfrey Daniels monthly songwriting circle.
Yeah.
Mike Holliday and Jim Carolyn, and we went virtual. I think in May was the first one we did last year, and we pretty much stuck to it. It's so important.
Yes.
To get together and to do this and to keep the whole thing moving forward, as you say. Well, I'm going to contribute a song, and
yes,
this is something I wrote called The Gilded Age, and it's written about linen factories, linen mills in Lowell, Massachusetts in the 1830s. Well, I lived in the mill of this river town, 6 days from 5 to 5. Cotton in, cloth out, since I left Stowe, it ain't much of a life. I live in Belvedere, in a cold water flat. Me and Martha, soon will come James. Lost little Sarah, couldn't afford the dock, and I pay with my soul every day. But there's bread on the table and a coal in the fire. I work hard as I'm able. I never mess with desire. I keep my head down, my mouth shut. The meek won't inherit today. living and dying in the Gilded Age. Well, I'm a 14-hour day mill girl. I left my daddy's farm near Keene. Paid $2 a day on the bobbin box, and they're cutting my pay again. Some of the girls, we've been talking, saying who the hell has the right to treat somebody like a slave or a fool. I got their backs, they got mine. You see, I put bread on the table. I'm gonna set this world on fire. I am strong and smart and able. My heart and head are full of desire. I keep my head up, my mouth proud. The meek shall inherit one day. Living and dying in the Gilded Age. Money flows from the city of spindles, swifter than the Merrimack, by the binary code of the power loom, and the sweat running down our backs. But never to the families and mill girls of this acrid sepia town. Some say it's just the way of this country. You work harder, someday it might trickle down. We don't believe that fable. We're setting this century on fire. There's room for all at the table. Keep our hearts and heads higher. Keep both arms open but one fist closed. We're hungry and righteous today. Living and dying in the Gilded Age. Don't you ever come back this way. Living and dying in the Gilded Age.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
I love the line, the sepia town.
Acrid sepia town.
Yes, yeah.
I'm trying to think what Lowell, Massachusetts, with all those mills running, must have looked like in the 1830s.
Absolutely. It's not just the visual, it's the, it's the textural, that was great.
Thank you very much. I get fascinated. So I was coming back from vacation once and stopped in Lowell and toured the National Historic Site there of the linen mills. And I walked away going, wow, there's such a powerful story here.
Yes.
So many unique things happened. It was the first example in the industrial age in America of very wealthy owners in an industry who started suppressing wages on a massive level. It was the first example of large numbers of young females entering the workforce in very large numbers. 1830s were the first example of organized labor movements in the United States. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. So it was, and I kept reading about this, and I'm going, all this stuff happened in that one. I thought, and it had a lot of lessons, some which got learned, and I think most of which did not.
Yep.
Or they have to be relearned.
Every generation, I think, has to relearn those lessons.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Songwriters Alive with Tom Cooney. Again, we're Monday nights at 7 p.m. on Tom Cooney YouTube, additional distribution out through Rocking the Valley YouTube, thanks to Steve Jones and everyone over at Rocking the Valley. Our special guest this week is Bernie Drury. Let me spell that for you, because you're going to be looking it up by the exact spelling, as all things are in URLs these days. So that's Bernie. The last name is Drury. So that's Bernie Drury. And the main spot where you can find his music is reverbnation.com/Bernie Drury. And that is pretty much, I think, where the main spot where folks can look for your stuff.
Yeah, yes, I do have a YouTube page, but since it doesn't have enough people, it is, I guess it has an indistinct URL. But if you look up Bernie Drury on YouTube, you can find my videos there.
Got it. You can see your Reverb Nation page here. Over on the right-hand side, folks, is a good little about the artist that you can read when you do come here. And the featured songs that are at the top of Bernie's list right now in Reverb Nation, we've already heard two of them, the great second song, Hoochie Coochie, and the very touching song For You. The other ones out there you're really going to love. The Man in the Chevrolet is about his dad and about always being there for your kids or grandkids. Just, you're really going to love that tune. Maybe We're in Like is an interesting song about being in like and not in love, or maybe being in love at some time in the future, but a great, I can tell you, Bernie, that's a great tune.
Thank you.
I really like the way you straddle the fence on that, yet hit a really nice thing, don't mess up the friendship,
Yep. Yeah.
It's perfect. And In an Instant is also one of the other ones that you'll see highlighted there. And if you hit your All Music button, you'll actually see the list of all things he's sharing up there currently. Now, you're telling me that a lot of artists, like myself included, are working on releases and getting things out to commercial distribution. And can you talk a little bit about that, what your current plans are, and when do you think folks might be able to commercially access your stuff? Because it's really wonderful stuff.
Well, thanks, Tom. I do appreciate it. I mean, I think that my plan was to play as much as I can, and write as much as I can, and then everything else would take care of itself. I mean, I'm blessed that I had a career, as did you. I don't need music to pay my bills. I'm very blessed in that regard, because so many friends have really had a hell of a time in 2020, and still with the gigs going away. They've all managed to be creatively optimistic and effective. They've been quite something. But I will be. My plan for retirement has been, I've taken a gap year like so many other people, is to go back to my busking roots. And so I am starting a website that will, right now, is simply a URL. It's called Busking Through Life. And on there, that will be my music page. But the primary focus of it will be other people's music. It will be promoting people who are making great music, and maybe they might be known in their community. Maybe they should be known in their community and they're shy, or something. But it's just going to be kind of like a Charles Kuralt approach to seeing America, but with small clubs and street musicians.
Well, that's amazing. So you see this not only as a regional thing, but as a road-based thing also?
Yes, I like so many people, I plan to travel more. I have a lot of the states yet to see, and wherever I go, I'm going to busk, and I will. And if there are any particulars about busking in that particular town, I will write about them on the website so that other people can follow and busk. But the main thing is I want to interview people like you're doing here, and hear their stories and hear some of their music and help promote their music.
That is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Yeah, I had started this when COVID set in, and it looked like it was going to be a long game, like it's playing out to be. The first thing was that I did is I started a half-hour live original music show of my stuff. I do that Tuesdays at 4 o'clock on my YouTube page, Tom Cooney, and it was a way for me to keep my library of songs current and performed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Also do about one virtual open mic a week, and that helps.
Right.
And so that's turned out to be a really good thing also.
Uh,
And then of course I started this, and it is kind of a labor of love, this particular project. And it's nice because, as you said, I looked around and so many other people were running these small groups and running the virtual open mics, and
yep.
so many people are doing stuff. And I'm thinking I've got to figure out a way for how I think about music and how I want to talk about music to contribute something.
Yeah.
This is the 14th or 15th episode, and I'm very happy. Every episode's like this, Bernie. The conversation flows. It's great talking to artists. They love
Yes.
to play. They love to share. They love to talk. And you're a great guest like all the others. It's fantastic.
Well, thanks. It's.
Speaking of the craft, you had talked about lyrics coming first for you. Does that come for you in a title or in a snippet of lyrics, or do you really just sit down and work on a lyric page and think about music and melody later?
That I write single lines in. They're titles or an idea, and that's all that is. And I have another book that I write, that I start ideas that are becoming verses and what have you. But what I've learned from Ellis, Paul, and his amazing instructors up at this retreat. I mean, Vance Gilbert and Tracy Grammer and Abby Gardner and Laurie McAllister and all the Red Mollies and just all these people is, the story is the key, and show don't tell, and that's something that people have heard, but they really demonstrate how to show, and the difference between creating a scene or telling people the scene that you're seeing, which is much less effective. And I generally, but to get back to your question, I generally have come up with an idea that is lyrics, that consists of lyrics. And lyrics generally, with the story, come with a vibe, and which oftentimes is a tempo, and sometimes even the color of the melody, whether it's minor chordish and serious, or major chord and bright, and so that usually happens where at least I'll get something that I can sing the lyrics to and start getting phrasing down. But I'm a big fan of. I often use many lyrics in my lines, more than is recommended in most cases. But I like lyrical lines that run past the end of the music into the next one, and all kinds of goofy things like that.
That was my Phil Oakes comment. Phil's lines flowed, and he made it all work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something else about your style of writing is, in addition to it being on point and accessible, it is conversational almost. There's never a force. There's never a sense that your lyrics are strained.
That's from having nice guidance, because like the thing about one of my favorite quotes, and I think my son's mentor came up with this, is that a great teacher tells you where to look but not what to see.
Again, we're with Bernie Drury, and I'm going to ask Bernie to share his next song with you. And don't forget, this is Songwriters Live with Tom Cooney, Monday nights at 7 o'clock on Tom Cooney YouTube. Additional distribution out through Rocking the Valley YouTube. Thanks, Steve Jones and everyone. We're with Bernie Drury, and the New Jersey songwriter. And what were you thinking of sharing for your next tune?
I'll just play The Man in the Chevrolet. And when I was growing up, my dad worked lots of jobs, and when I got to high school, he finally got a good job, and he asked for the earliest shift, which started at 6 a.m. And that meant he could get home in time for all of my football practices, not just my games, my practices, and he was the only dad who did that. And so this is called The Man in the Chevrolet, and it's for my dad, what I remember. A man isn't measured by fortune or fame. All that truly matters is your good name. When I played on high school fields, be it practice or a game, wouldn't even have to look. No, you're in that same old parking spot you always took. Watching from the car, only dad there every day, and I knew in my heart you'd be there. You'd be there. Sunny days would find you leaning on the fence. Rainy days I'd look for the glow from your cigarette through the windshield. But what mattered is if I needed strength, I looked through the goalposts for that old white Chevrolet, 'cause you'd be there. You'd always be there. A man isn't measured by fortune or fame, no. All that truly matters is your good name. You gave me your good name. Now the fields I walk are where the game of life is played. When times are hard, I'll close my eyes and pray for guidance from afar to get me through the day. I'll often think back to the man in the Chevrolet, and things will be okay, 'cause that's what he would say. Man isn't measured by fortune or fame, no. All that truly matters is your good name. You gave me your good name. My grandson shows up in this last verse here. Your line remains unbroken though the Chevrolet's long gone. Now there is another man to carry your name on. When my children and their children play fields their very own, the gift that I will give them, the one that I'll pass on, well, I'll be there. I'll always be there.
Well, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful song. It hits on one of the key emotional themes between fathers and sons, which is being there.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to contribute another song, and then I'm going to ask Bernie to take us out with one more later so he can think about what he's going to share with us for the last two. This is a tune I wrote the end of 2019, and it's about where change might be hiding and what you might need to do if it pops its face. It's in the shift of the wind, in the lowing of the light, in the first hint of feeling restless, where change does abide. It's in the first mighty geese riding north, in a bed of ferns crackling to life. It's when your heart learns it can't live alone, you know it is time. So take that step, small and unsteady. Take that breath, one at a time. Hold the now in the palm of your hand, sacred and wild. Steady your heart, steady your gaze, steady ahead, there's only today. Time and love, the great healers, they are coming your way. Coming your way. Coming your way. This is the day you will find what was stolen, the day reclaim your role. It's the day the ice breaks on the great river. Soon love will flow. So take that step, small and unsteady. Take that breath, one at a time. Hold the now in the palm of your hand, sacred and wild. Steady your heart, steady your gaze, steady ahead, there's only today. Time and love, the great healers, they are coming your way. Coming your way.
I love the couple of lines. There's only today. I mean, that's that's about being a songwriter lives in today, you know, and in the present. And the other one, time and faith are great healers, because I am living proof of that. They are.
Well, thank you very much. I like that, you know, like you say, with all different techniques that songwriters use, you mix them up and you pull out some that work sometimes. So, yeah.
Well, it's amazing too. I mean, it's like opening up a new box of Crayolas when you start to play with words, and all of a sudden you go like, ooh, either I could rhyme that or I could use that in a metaphor. Oh, and speaking of metaphors, I have to give a shout out to Angie Duvacott. She was an instructor at the retreat that I keep mentioning in 19, and I didn't know her, I didn't know her music, and now I'm a huge fan. But she taught on metaphors.
Our special guest this week, who's going to be taking us out with his last song, is Bernie Drury. Please make sure to look him up for all his ongoing activity on Facebook and for all of his music on Reverb Nation, reverbnation.com/Bernie Drury. And as you've heard tonight, a songwriter who writes in many different styles, but a real clarity of voice in his lyric and in his voice, and a real clarity in how he mixes the musical side of a song and the lyrical side together pretty seamlessly and naturally. It has been just a joy having you. Continued success in your songwriting, and I'm sure I'll be running into you at all these different virtual open mics. And
absolutely, yeah, I can't wait to. I mean, Philly was my next expansion, and but now we'll do it virtually. This is a song that sometimes I close with the band with, and it's blues, and it can probably drown out the snowplow outside my window and the dogs that are barking outside my window. Another morning comes in, I don't know what time you got in. I know you're lying next to me, girl, but are you with me? Have you ever really been? You smell of cigarettes and whiskey, God knows what else. Well, I think the time has come to be honest with myself. You gotta leave. The curtain's dropping on this show. Leave and take your drama, mama, when you go. You're out of second chances now. Well, I gave you 3 or 4. I put away those tears, girl. You know we've done this dance before. When those tears don't work, you back those bedroom eyes. And I know from experience that next come the lies of me. The curtain's dropping on the show. Leave and take your drama, mama, when you go. Remember this behavior, I'm showing you the door. Oh, when your next barroom savior says he won't take no more. There's just one constant on this carousel of pain. You're the only one who's riding, girl. Now you're going round again on me. The curtains dropping on the show. Leave and take your drama, mama, when you go. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. They should name that road for you. I'm sure somewhere in your life someone mentioned it's what you did, not what you meant to do. Don't wanna kiss or another lame excuse. I'm moving on, I'm somewhere else. It's time to cut you loose. So leave the curtains down. There's no more show. Don't forget to pack your drama, mama. I ain't gonna miss all your drama, mama. But some people might just say it's karma, mama, when you go. Whoa, whoa.
That's wonderful. A blues song about no drama. Fantastic. And the last thing I think we'll cover in the show, and you've already mentioned a few of the tips offhand that have helped you, or approaches that you've heard and that you've applied. But we always ask this of our guests: if you were to say to a younger songwriter or a newer songwriter who's older, well, if there's a few key things of the many things that you practice that really help you, what would you say to that earlier or novice songwriter that's going to help them at that point of what they're trying to do?
Well, we've already talked about reading and listening to other songwriters. It's one of the exercises George and I came up with for our songwriting circle about 2 years ago, and it was called the Songwriting Day. And it's simply, you have to put your phone away and you have to record. You have to be present, like hyper uber present, and look around at your surroundings and record all of your senses, what you're seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, about them, and then change the descriptors to, instead of what you're seeing, give it a sensor, a different sense. So if you're seeing colors, what would those colors smell like? What would they taste like? Yeah. And it sounds silly, but if you see a really red car, that can be cherry, that can be watermelon, that can be anything. And when you start loosening up your mind a little bit, your imagination starts realizing, oh, so there's no limits. I can kind of think anything right now. It's very freeing. And the last thing I will say is, and this is something that Ellis said, just write. Just write what you're thinking. Just write what you're feeling and seeing and hearing. And don't try to make it into a song. Just write it. And the editor is not welcome at that session.
Great.
Just write down your impressions. Write down what you're seeing and hearing.
Full advice, being present and being aware and making time where that is all that you're doing.
Yes.
And the second great point is to write. It is an active process. It's experiential. You get better by doing it.
Yes.
And, that is great advice for every songwriter, not only just the younger or novice songwriter.
Yeah.
That is neat stuff. Hey, I want to thank our guest again, Bernie Drury, and don't forget to look him up on ReverbNation.com/Bernie Drury and Facebook for all his ongoing activities as Bernie Drury. Bernie, thank you so much. It's been a gas talking with you. Love your music, and I enjoyed this episode so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Tom. I enjoyed it every bit as much. It was really a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. Hey, we'll see you all next week and on Songwriters Alive with Tom Cooney. Everyone be safe, be well, Be kind and be positive. We'll see you.